want to do question and answer? Okay. That was really great. I want to buy everything that SAP.
On
I
demand,
especially
on
want the mobile where I can do business. You know where this is going, that we're eventually going to swallow a chip. And depending on what you do with your stomach muscles, you can invoice and export. It's going to be fantastic. I'm first in the queue. All right, so now we're going to take some questions. We've asked some delegates to ask Jim, and we have 4 specific questions posed by our SIG leads on behalf of their organizations and SIG members. The first question is from Costa Petro Cellini. No, that's perfect. Okay. ALM SIG co-chair Costa Petro Cellini, would you ask your question, please?
Yeah, Costa Petrosellini, ALM SIG co-chair at SAP User Group.
I said that. I said that.
Thank you. As a Sun customer, in the light of the obvious rivalry with Oracle, how will you ensure that the Sun customers are not penalized for their hardware choice with regards to support and future product rollout? And to underline this, it's interesting to see SAP move into the area of hardware by some partners with regard to HANA. Why has SAP decided the needs to drive hardware development? Does this mark the beginning of more direct hardware involvement by SAP?
I think this is an extremely valid question. Are we on the way into hardware? The answer to that is no. We actually believe it's a fundamental wrong strategy to try and combine business software, database, and hardware in one consolidated stack. Why? Because we think this stack is being tremendously challenged. This hardware will move into the cloud. And in the cloud, you don't know which brand is on the hardware. So why would you want a consolidated stack with a specific brand on the hardware and being locked up to that hardware? Secondly, the database, we believe, will move into main memory. Remember the brain just on a computer? And so that database will move completely off the relational database world, move into main memory, and the app will be built around the fact that you can now read the entire database in less than a second, which is not the old application, which has indexes and searches and aggregates of data. You just read the whole thing. It takes less than a second. So if these 2 disruptions are happening, why would we go and try and buy ourselves into all these stacks? We think companies who do that are trying to lock their customers up in current technologies. And we would like to innovate the new technologies. Cloud computing and memory computing will change that stack. We have no interest in being part of that old world. So do we work with hardware customers? That was the other part of the question. Yes, we do, like we did at the launch of R3 in '92. We worked with HP and other companies who were willing to optimize their hardware for SAP. So we give them advice. Would we support Sun? Of course we would, if they would live up to the specifications we need to run a high-performant in-memory appliance. We believe in choice for the customer. And because of the choice, you can commoditize. It's strategically good for us because we try and get the software to be the valuable part of the stack. And it's strategically good for you because you can reduce the cost of other parts of the stack. So we're not trying to get into hardware. We have a very different strategy, very deliberate different strategy, and we believe in openness and choice for the customer. Okay?
You are very good, Jim. You are very good. Honestly, I want the whole stack. Yeah. Okay, Martin Lewis from Beta Group and Business One SIG Chair.
Thank you, Ruby. Hello, Jim.
Hi.
As we all know and appreciate, SAP sell B1 via resellers exclusively. Obviously, we're already one rung away from SAP as a result of that, so communication is very important. One element of this communication is when we put a problem to our reseller, that I know there's an escalation process in place, but we'd like to know if there's any intention to improve that visibility of that escalation process. Another element where we think there's a gap is in training, where a reseller perhaps isn't providing the correct amount of training, would SAP be prepared to offer training to the end user? I already know you offer training to the resellers, but would you offer training to the end user? And finally, if I may, we're in a terrible downturn now. We're going through it, and our neighbours are going through it. When resellers have to downsize, potentially we could lose a third of our users. Would SAP consider being flexible on the annual support fee to reflect the lower number of users? Thank you, Jim.
That was a tough one at the end, huh? Let me first of all explain that while it is true that B1 is sold through a reseller channel, we do that because we think we need a lot of reach into the market, and we cannot provide that reach ourselves. And the typical B1 reseller is close to the customer and can provide that immediate reaction that you need. But we're not doing this to get distance from our customers. It's very important to understand. I get every week an email from my support team that talks about every escalation we have where there's some system down somewhere. It's a small report, not a big one. And it has 3 chapters. It has the business suite, it has by design, and it has B1. So those customers are as important to SAP as any large customer. Why is that? Because it's our brand recognition that's at stake. And that doesn't matter what size company. In fact, it's even more bad for a small company to get problems than a big one in that sense, for emotionally. So we are as committed. And if you feel we are not good enough in delivering that, then we need to change. And I would love to have the conversation with you. I don't want to take over the role of the reseller. It's a value-adding reseller, and this value-adding is a very important part of the reselling. They need to add value. I actually believe if we do it well, they will be closer to the customer, they will react faster to the customer than we can, but then we need to train them well. And to the question around end-user training, my hope is that you don't need any. And I would rather try and fix it in the software so you really don't need any than go in and do a massive training effort, because that is a proof that there's something wrong with the software. So I realized that maybe some areas are more complicated, but then I need, again, the closeness to the customer rather than offering big training classes for that, or do it online. And that's a path where I can do it and scale. But I'm happy to talk to you how we can get even closer, because we are as committed to those customers as anyone else. Now, to the licensing, I mean, many customers have this problem that they were bought big licenses and might not now need them all. That is true. But we also have to remember that when the companies bought those licenses, they typically got a discount for buying more. And so it's hard to get a discount on buying milk and then give half of it in return later. So we need to find reasonable ways of dealing with that. Yeah? I see in the SME segment the subscription model being the ultimate answer. Because there you buy and you pay as you go. If you have many users 1 month, it's more money. If you have less users next month, it's less money. That's subscription. And we are more than committed to that in the SME. That gives the SME this opportunity for flexibility. Okay?
Fantastic. Okay. I'm not lying. This is, I'm learning. You could sell anything. 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 It's fantastic. Okay, Mike Reaney from SAPUG UK Petrochemicals MSM SIG Chair.
Thank you, Ruby. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Adopting SAP is a major investment for any company. It requires a high level of asset management throughout its life cycle. But with one major difference between SAP and more physical assets, being that it never actually becomes redundant. It requires never requiring retirement. It just keeps getting refreshed through a continuous investment program on top of normal maintenance. In order for organisations who operate SAP to better plan this level of long-term investment, please can you provide insight into what level of changes to system architecture are planned in order to gauge that subsequent level of investment that may be required over the next 10 years?
Would be happy to. 10 years is a long time in this industry, but here's the tendency. If you look at the 3 layers, on-premise, on-demand, and on-device, the tendency is that on-premise will evolve from an upgrade path much slower. We don't force an upgrade every year. We tried with the enhancement pack to ease the pain of consuming new functionality without forcing an upgrade. In the on-demand world, we believe that the cycle is more 6 months But there we can do it because the customer doesn't have the pain of upgrade, we do. And so it's a good experiment for us to upgrade every 6 months. We do it once for all customers, and with that we get much more faster release cycles in that world. And in the on-device world, we actually believe it's more like every 6 weeks there's something happening, a new Android or some other element of the solar system, of a new mobile device or system that's coming out, and we need to support it. So it's very different speeds of innovation. I think it fits to your speed of innovation as well. You don't change your core processes too often. You change maybe the on-demand world more often, and you definitely change the user experience on the front line. We have an architecture that allows us this differentiated path or innovation speed. Today, where in the old world and in most other companies, this thing will evolve at the pace of the slowest moving part. We can actually differentiate depending on which part we're in. Now, what are the changes that are coming? First of all, we have a commitment to stabilization around the business suite, which means the core of the business suite. That is ERP 6.0. We believe we can run for a multiple of years with enhancement packs. The latest enhancement pack, the 4 that was shipped last year, was pretty big. Actually, it was too big. And so we worked a lot on trying to ease the consumption of that. We went from a 54-hour installation time in large customers to 17 and shrinking it further. And you will see us going down a modularization of enhancement packs, so you get a few of them in a year instead of just one big, which means you pick and choose what you want to consume, and you don't force an upgrade. What is the next thing that will happen architecturally? It's going to be in-memory computing. The on-demand we can add on as an extension. The on-device we add on as extension, so there's no change of architecture. The in-memory will be the opportunity for upgrade in terms of change of architecture. And what we do there is we first install HANA next to your business suite. Then we put more applications on top of HANA, which you couldn't do in the old world because you couldn't analyze data in that speed. And then you will see us moving focus. You could say more and more things can run in memory, and maybe one day there is a path where you need to look at again and say, how can we use this technology inside the core? We're just moving the in-memory database inside the on-demand world. And it's there now. And we're looking for ways to significantly speed up the business suite as well. So it's a stepwise approach. And I believe over the next 10 years, we will not force you to massive upgrade. We will more be extending you as we go. And maybe there are some functionalities where you would choose an in-memory based version of that. But it's never going to be everything moves at one go. Okay?
Do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
From Jürgen Lattner, Global Crossing and ALM Testing SIG Chair.
Morning, Jim. My question is about upgrading to ECC 6.0, specifically for customers who were led or allowed to embark on the ECC 5.0 track and who are now facing another costly upgrade to go to ECC 6.0. So my question is, how can or will SAP help those customers?
Yeah, so we have today already upgraded around 10,000 customers to ECC 6. So today, I wouldn't say it's a non-event because it takes careful planning and execution, but we know how to do that. We have experts who can do it. We even have experts at this event. Martin is somewhere here, who's been driving our efforts to shrink wrap that experience. And I would say with strong confidence, and I'll stand all the way here, that we can upgrade any one of you with less efforts than you think. And we're prepared to take on the responsibility as well if that's what you need from us. It has become a mass production of upgrade. And more than half of our installed base are on the latest ERP 6.0, so we know how to do it. So come to us, we'll analyze your situation and give you an idea of how we can do this fast and relatively inexpensive compared to the assumption. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Really nice meeting you. Really nice meeting you.